"You can't serve a cease and desist to a deer, Roger." That's what I told him. Well, yelled at him, after I watched a 12-point buck stare him dead in the face and then pee all over the HOA's tulip beds. And yet there he was, standing on a folding chair in his salmon-colored polo, waving a laminated citation at a herd of therapy deer like they were delinquent tenants. 2 days later, his HOA presidency exploded in a public courtroom showdown, and Eugene, the buck, walked out of that mess more respected than half the town's elected officials. It all started at the annual cookout in Alder Creek Estates, the kind where the chicken's dry, the gossip's juicy, and the HOA clipboard mafia comes out in full force. I'd been living here a few years, mostly quiet, retired law enforcement, enjoying my mornings with black coffee and a lawn I deliberately let grow a little too wild. But Roger Thompson, our HOA president, saw himself more like a suburban warlord. 6 years running the HOA, and not once had he missed a chance to remind us about lawn color codes or the sacred length of acceptable grass. That day, he showed up with his megaphone and a wild look in his eyes, shouting about unauthorized wildlife grazing. I turned around and, sure enough, the deer had returned. 12 of them, graceful, quiet, and completely unimpressed. One scratched its ear and trotted right past him like he was just another tree stump. That's when he snapped. Roger called an emergency HOA meeting to declare war on the deer. He even stapled warning signs to trees. Swear to God, actual laminated letters telling wildlife to vacate the premises. Now, here's where it gets personal. Those weren't just wild deer. They belonged, legally, to a therapy program managed by my cousin, Sheriff Lorraine McBride. After her last undercover stint with the DEA, she'd launched a federally backed pilot using trained deer to support PTSD patients and children with trauma. The herd had full documentation, ID chips, medical history, the whole package. Eugene, the buck with the notched ear Roger was obsessed with, had comforted a kid during a court testimony. Another doe visited the local VA hospital every other week. These animals weren't just legally protected, they were damn near saints. So when Lorraine heard about the HOA trying to get animal control involved, she didn't call first. She showed up at the meeting in her boots and badge, walked right past Roger mid-rant about deer ticks and lawn sanctity, and dropped a state-certified folder on the table. "You're in violation of wildlife protection codes, Roger," she said, calm as a stone. "That buck you chased with a broom? He's scheduled to visit the children's hospital next Thursday." Someone gasped. Mrs. Callahan dropped her cheese puffs. Roger's mouth opened like a trout and just stayed there, but he didn't back off. That night, he launched a campaign, literally printed flyers that said, "Take back our turf," delivered them door to door using his nephew, who I'm pretty sure only agreed because he was promised 3 fruit roll-ups per house. It bombed. Only 2 houses signed, and one of them thought it was a petition for resurfacing the tennis court. Meanwhile, Lorraine rolled out receipts. Not metaphorical receipts, real ones. Vet bills, therapy certificates, even footage of Eugene wearing a Santa hat at a children's shelter. And then things got weird. Yard signs started popping up. Some said, "Let them roam." Others, "Protect our grass." Someone spray-painted a peace symbol on a flamingo. Roger countered with a proposal for a 6-foot fence around the greenbelt. Lorraine shut him down, quoting the county charter. He turned red, then purple, then a shade I can only describe as expired mayonnaise. Someone tried to mediate with a potluck slideshow, but the projector glitched and projected deer mating footage onto Roger's garage. That moment felt like prophecy. Then the whole thing blew open. During an HOA slideshow titled The Silent Invasion, Roger's projector accidentally displayed a PowerPoint labeled Phase 2, Greenbelt Rezoning. Line item: remove deer equals developer approval. And just like that, it clicked. This wasn't about tulips or tick-borne diseases. Roger wanted to sell the land behind our homes. He'd been courting a real estate syndicate to build a miniature golf resort where those deer grazed. The deer weren't pests. They were the obstacle. That night, Lorraine and I went digging. County zoning records, meeting minutes, HOA emails. And guess what? We found a file. Stamped Project Ridgewatch. It traced back to a defunct federal initiative, an experimental wildlife monitoring program where genetically trained deer were embedded in suburban zones to test environmental changes, even seismic activity. Who signed off the original relocation of the deer to Alder Creek? Roger. Years ago. And somewhere between then and now, he saw dollar signs and flipped the script. 3 days later, 3 deer went missing. We found 2, tranquilized, dumped near a culvert. The third? Still gone. Lorraine traced the operation to a delivery truck owned by Roger's lawyer, a guy who claimed to specialize in nuisance wildlife law, and also apparently balloon animals. Inside the truck, sedative darts, a feeding bag with ACHOA embroidered on it, and surveillance footage showing Roger watching the capture from a Ring camera feed. Lorraine didn't arrest him right away. She wanted him to sweat. And oh, did he. At the next HOA meeting, originally scheduled to debate bird bath regulations, she rolled in with a PowerPoint of her own. Pictures of tranquilizer rifles, drone footage of Eugene smacking a surveillance drone out of the sky with his antlers, and finally, a leaked email from Roger promising a developer that the deer problem would be gone before Easter. The room erupted. Someone shouted, "You lied to us!" Someone else yelled, "We believed in you!" I yelled, "Sit down, Roger." But it wasn't over. Roger's wife, Diane, stood up from the back, holding one of those fake ceramic owls meant to scare squirrels. She walked to the front, twisted off the bottom, and dumped a pile of burner phones, invoices, and checks on the floor. "He lied to me too," she said. "For years." The room went dead silent, except for the sound of Roger's HOA legacy falling apart, one receipt at a time. He took a plea deal. 8 years. Possible parole after 4. He now does community service in our county park, wearing a vest that says, "I, the HOA," in peeling yellow letters. He spends most mornings refilling bird feeders and, oh, the irony, picking up after deer. And Eugene? He's a local legend now. They renamed the Greenbelt Eugene's Run. Kids draw him in chalk. Yard signs say hooves before humans. Our new HOA president is a retired librarian named Mildred, who canceled all lawn fines and instituted Wildlife Hour. No leaf blowers, no mowers, just peace. But sometimes, late at night, Lorraine and I sit on my porch, coffee in hand, and listen to the woods. The deer are still out there, calm, smart, maybe even watching. And sometimes, just sometimes, I wonder if Project Ridgewatch ever really ended. Because the night the elk showed up, 7 of them, silent as ghosts, bigger than any deer I've seen. It felt like we'd passed some invisible test. And that greenbelt, it's not just grass anymore. So tell me, what would you do if the deer knew more than you did?